In Munich, Germany, an old man is seen mumbling to himself in his bathroom mirror. When the camera pans around the small flat, an identical version of this man named Ralph is seen dead in his living room. The live version is Jackal. Jackal is a master of disguise assassin. He has assumed Ralph's identity as a cleaner. While wearing Ralph's employee keycard, Jackal is practicing like Ralph. He goes to Ralph and takes out a pack of cigarettes from Ralph's pocket, puts it in his pocket, and leaves. Later that same night, we see Jackal as Ralph entering a building owned by Manfred Fest. Manfred is a prominent magazine political figure who's in the running to be the next German chancellor. The guard greets Jackal and tells him that he is late again. The guard asks about the new backpack that Jackal is carrying, hinting that there is something unusual about it. Jackal asks the guard if anyone is here tonight. The guard informs him that only Mr. Elias Fest and Jennifer are inside. Elias is the son of Manfred Fest. Jackal looks at Elias and Jennifer arguing in a room and makes his way to another room to clean. While in the room, he takes out a gun from his backpack. Suddenly, Jennifer enters. Jackal turns around and shoots her with a silent gun. The guard suspects something and goes to Jackal. Jackal shoots this guard and proceeds to shoot at Elias Fest through the glass window. Elias narrowly escapes and runs down the stairs. Jackal chases him and shoots Elias in the leg. Elias begs for his life. Jackal spares Elias's life and runs to the roof of the building. Jackal roof and throws a smoke bomb on the street. Using a rope tied to the top of the building, he gets down and flees from the scene. After that, Jackal enters a room and starts to peel off his carefully applied makeup and mask. Jackal is revealed to be a much younger and completely different man after removing the mask. The following morning, Jackal skillfully assembles a rifle in his room. He gets in position and tests his rifle with a couple of quiet shots on the wall of St. Elizabeth Hospital. After that, Jackal calmly awaits his target's arrival. Meanwhile, Manfred Fest is on his way to St. Elizabeth Hospital to visit his injured son. In the car, Manfred links the assassination attempt to his controversial anti-immigration opinions. Manfred reaches the hospital entrance and sees a big crowd protesting him and shouting anti-Fest slogans. Security takes Manfred to the door. As Manfred approaches the hospital doors, Jackal takes aim from afar and shoots. After a few seconds, the bullet reaches Manfred's head and kills him. Immediately, security manages to spot the location where the sniper might be. Jackal remains calm and swiftly packs his weapon in a briefcase. He plants a bomb in his room and leaves. Later, he changes his car and plants a bomb in there, too, to become untraceable. Soon after, the police arrive at the sniper's location. The bombs planted in the room and in the car explode and erase all the evidence. The following day, Jackal reaches Nuremberg, Germany, to meet a man. Jackal is here to buy some antique chess sets from this man. Jackal buys a set and leaves. Later that day, Jackal reaches a German-French border. He pulls up to a checkpoint where every car is being examined by the border patrol officers. One of the officers reaches Jackal's car and asks for his passport. Calm and collected, Jackal hands it over. The officer asks him to open the trunk. As Jackal opens the trunk, the officer sees a small box inside there and asks him to open it. He opens the box to show the officer his chess set that he bought earlier that day. The officer lets Jackal cross the border into France with no suspicion. The next morning, Jackal enters a cyber cafe near a train station in France. He goes into the dark core browser and logs into his account. He texts asking for his payment for the job done in Munich. He gets a text back telling him to wait 24 hours. Suddenly, another message appears offering him 10 million euros for an assignment. He agrees to meet to further discuss the job. He gives the location of the meeting and after that, leaves the cafe. In the next scene, Jackal goes to Lake Malar in Sweden. There he meets a woman without revealing his face. Jackal asks her to give him the name of the target. The woman tells him that she wants him to kill Old Dag Charles, also known as UDC. Jackal tells her to increase the payment to 100 million euros for this assignment. The woman says that she will have to consult her colleagues. Hearing this, Jackal leaves. After that, Jackal arrives at his home in Cadiz, Spain, to surprise his wife, Nuria. Later that day, Jackal goes and hides his gun in a secret safe under the floor of his closet room. He logs into his dark core account. He inquires about his payment for the Munich job that still has not been received. But instead of money, he receives a text saying, "Fuck you." We see an MI6 agent named Bianca examining a new gun brought in by her colleague. While they are chatting, they notice a new alert on a nearby TV showing the shocking assassination of Manfred Fest. She looks at the details of this case. She is shocked to see that the sniper took a single precise shot from a huge distance of 3,815 meters. Shortly after, she attends a meeting in the office. In the meeting, Werner Lechner, a representative from German intelligence, is also present through a video link. Lechner is briefing the MI6 agents about the aftermath of Manfred's assassination. When asked by Bianca, Werner tells her that no rifle was found on site. They also watch the security footage where the suspect is leaving with a small briefcase. Bianca informs them that the briefcase is not big enough to carry even the smallest rifle. She tells them that the rifle could be custom-made with the two-part barrel. She mentions Norman Stoke, an Irish gunmaker who has been rumored to be working on such a design for years. She tells them that Norman has been wanted and on the run since 2018. She argues that Norman could be the only person capable of creating such a rifle. Her seniors doubt her, but she insists that Norman could lead them to the assassin. After the meeting, Bianca is called in private by her superior Isabel. Isabel asks Bianca how she plans to track down Norman. Bianca tells Isabel that she has an asset in Belfast by the codename of Sparrow. Isabel asks her to find this Norman guy. Later that day, Bianca arrives at a supermarket in Belfast to meet her asset named Allison. Allison tells Bianca that if her husband Larry catches her talking to Bianca, she will be in trouble. Allison's husband, Larry, is the brother of Norman Stoke. Biance asks Allison to provide her with find out Norman's location. Biance says no and tells them that they need to change the tactic to locate Norman. She requests them to give her the details of Allison's daughter named Emma, who is a student here in London. Her supervisors hesitatingly agree. In the next scene, Biance reaches a protest where people are chanting UDC and demanding the truth about money. Bianca sees the protest and asks the police officer to get her. The police officer arrests her for causing an obstruction and takes her to the station. At the police station, Emma asks for a lawyer. The police officer tells her that she can only call her mother and put her in a cell. After some time, the police officer calls Bianca and tells her that Emma is having a cardiac arrest. Bianca quickly arrives and puts Emma in the ambulance. In the ambulance, Bianca tries her best to revive Emma, but Emma dies in the ambulance on her way to the hospital. The next morning, Bianca gets a call from Allison. Allison accuses Bianca of putting her daughter in jail. Allison accuses Bianca of arresting her daughter after she failed to provide Norman's information. Allison is not aware of the fact that Emma has died in her cell. Bianca does not tell Allison about Emma's death. She gives Allison a deal where she will get Emma out of jail in return for Norman's phone number. After that, Bianca goes to her office. She tells her seniors that Emma had a pre-existing heart condition and could die anyway. Her seniors introduce her to a man named Carver, who is going to clean up her mess. Bianca asks Carver to keep Emma's death a secret for 24 hours. Carver agrees to do so. After she leaves this meeting, she calls Allison. She tells Allison that she has arranged to get Emma out of prison, but she needs Norman's phone number within 24 hours in exchange. In the next scene, we see Allison convincing Larry to call his brother Norman for money. She tells Larry that they need money to go and visit their daughter. According to them, Emma is still in jail in London. Larry tells her that he has already called Norman twice. Later that night, they are at a small bar drinking. Larry goes to get Allison a drink. Allison discreetly grabs Larry's phone. She takes a photo of Norman's number and sends it to Bianca. After getting Norman's phone number, Biance locates Norman somewhere in Belarus. She goes to the location with a team. Norman, who seems as if he was already expecting them, rains gunfire at them. He kills 2 of Bianca's men. Norman manages to escape. Bianca finds Norman's briefcase lying in the forest. Later, in Spain, Jackal gets his payment for Munich job eventually. He texts his bank to find out the source of the payment. He also researches his next target, UDC. UDC is a billionaire tech entrepreneur who is launching his new software called The River. River will be able to create a global financial transparency and locate where the money comes from and where it goes. Meanwhile, over in New York, a team of some shady businessmen who want UDC killed are deciding if Jackal can be trusted or not. The woman named Leonora, who met Jackal in Sweden, is also sitting there. She tells her colleagues that Jackal is the best she could find. They agree to pay Jackal $100 million if he kills UDC. Meanwhile, Jackal is celebrating his son's birthday with Nuria's family. While at the party, he receives a text from his bank. His bank sends him the location from where the sender made payment for Munich job. He sees that the payment was made from a bank in Munich. He decides to leave the party and go to Munich at once. His wife Nuria seems disappointed, but still she drops him off at the airport. After Nuria leaves the airport, Jackal too leaves the airport behind her back. He goes to a bank. In a locker, he has hidden a lot of money and number of passports with different identities. He takes out one of those passports and leaves in a taxi. At the same time, Nuria happens to see her husband in a taxi after she has just left him at the airport. She starts to worry that her husband might be cheating. Meanwhile, Bianca is still on her case and tracks down the bag that Jackal was carrying with him in the Manfred's building. She deduces from the logo on the bag and the accuracy of the shot that the guy they are after is British and potentially ex-army. After that, we see Jackal, who has reached Munich. Leonora calls him and asks him to meet. Jackal gives her a location. Later that day, they meet in a garden, but Leonora does not see Jackal's face. She tells Jackal that her colleagues have agreed to pay 100 million euros to kill UDC, but says that the job needs to be done by the 28th. Jackal agrees. She gives him 20 million as the commencement fee and asks him not to attract any attention while he is in Munich. They agreed to use the codename Rodan for UDC and Jackal for the sniper. Later, Jackal finds out that the payment for Munich job was made from a company account named Helleline. He follows the trail back to two names, Hans Langda and Elias Fest. He figures out that the person who wanted to kill Manfred Fest was no other than Manfred's own son, Elias Fest. Elias is the one who made the payment. In Munich, Jackal dresses in disguise as an old man and heads to a funeral parlor. He asks the funeral director advice on what to do with his dead wife's big house. Seeing the old man sad, the director says that they can also give counseling to handle grief. While talking, Jackal fakes a migraine. The director goes downstairs to Jackal's car to bring him the medicines. Jackal is left alone in the funeral director's office. Jackal has enough time and installs remote access software on the director's computer. After installing the software, he leaves. On the other hand, Elias Fest is trying hard to walk again after getting shot in the leg. He does not want to attend his father's funeral in a wheelchair. Against advice to rest, he walks on the treadmill for a minute. Meanwhile, Jackal has gained complete access to the funeral director's computer. By using remote access software, Jackal discovers Manfred Fest's beneficiaries and information on his funeral. He finds the name of Elias' driver, Stefan Wolf. Sitting in his room, he decides his next move. Then he calls his wife Nuria. Nuria asks him if he is having an affair. Jackal denies having another woman in his life. After talking on the phone, Nuria goes to her husband's study room and finds the secret safe on the floor. She tries different combinations, but it does not open. After that, Nuria starts looking at the blueprints of the house. She also manages to find a locked hidden room in her husband's closet. With the help of her brother and mother, Nuria opens the door and goes inside. To their surprise, they find a huge amount of money, fake passports, guns, and prosthetics in the room. At the same time, Jackal is watching them through a security camera installed in the room. In the next scene, Jackal poses as the driver of Elias Fest. He kills Stefan Wolf, who is the real driver, and steals his car. The following morning, Elias gets in his car to go to his father's funeral. He does not know that Jackal is the one driving his car. On the road, Jackal shoots a guard in the car and kidnaps Elias. Jackal speeds through the streets of Munich. Once they are alone, Elias confesses to hiring him to kill his father. He tells Jackal that he was angry about getting shot in the leg, and that is why he withheld the payment. Security personnel hear all about this on the phone. Elias offers money to spare his life, but Jackal says it is not about the money. Jackal says fuck you and shoots him. He plants a bomb in the car and leaves after changing his clothes. Before the security guards reach Elias' car, the bomb explodes, and Jackal runs away. The Jackal is in his car on a road in France. While not focused on the road, he crashes his car into the back of a truck. The truck driver becomes furious. The Jackal offers money for the damage. Ready to meet Nuria. Soon after, Nuria knocks at the door. Before Jackal could say anything, she slaps him across the face and demands the truth. Jackal tells her that he is a troubleshooter. He explains that big companies hire him when they have a problem and want it solved using industrial espionage. He tells her that his work can be illegal sometimes and he has to use false identities. He again lies to her by saying that he does not kill anybody. He assures her that he never lied about loving her or their son. Nuria gets afraid about his dangerous life that could harm their family. 2. He assures Nuria that after his current job, they will have enough money to live the life that they want. Meanwhile, the New York team is upset after finding out that Jackal is the one who killed Elias Fest. They had given specific instructions not to attract any attention towards him, but after finding out that Jackal killed Elias because Elias failed to pay up, they are impressed. Ask Leonora, who brought Jackal to them, to go and stay with him until the job is done. In the next scene, we see UDC swimming on an island that he owns in Croatia. His security informs him about a possible contract on his head. His security doesn't want him to leave the island and go to Tallinn for the launch event, but UDC does not care about his life. He seems to only care about the launch of River. He decides to go ahead with his plans regardless of the consequences. Later that day, Leonora calls Jackal. She informs him that UDC is going to be in Tallinn for the launch of River on 28th. After that, Jackal arrives in Tallinn. He goes to an arena to attend a concert. It is the same venue that UDC is expected to use for the launch event in a few days. During the concert, Jackal starts to search for ideal spots from where he can shoot the target. Jackal in on the roof. However, soon, the roof moves, leaving him dangling from electrical cables. He is dangerously close to his death. His phone drops into the crowd below. He manages to get himself up on the roof again. After the concert, Jackal retrieves his phone with the help of a worker there named Rasmus. Later, Jackal reaches his hotel room. He is shocked to see Leonore already waiting for him inside. She finally sees Jackal's face for the first time. After tracking Jackal down in Tallinn, Leonora warns him not to get on the wrong side of the clients. She tells him that they are more powerful than anyone he knows. To prove she's serious, she tells him that she knows about Norman Stoke. Urging him to succeed, she informs him that she'll now be on his tail until the mission to kill UDC is complete. After that, we see Bianca show her superiors the briefcase retrieved from Norman Stokes. She takes out its parts and assembles them to make a rifle. She tells them how the briefcase is holding a sniper rifle in disguise. Bianca tells them that Manfred's killer, too, must have hidden his rifle in such a bag. Isabel tells Bianca that the operation to catch Norman is still on. After that, Bianca asks her colleague Damien to go to the military and get a list of all the past and present snipers who could have made the shot that the killer made. After her meeting, Bianca is called by Carver into a quiet room. Carver psychoanalyzes her. He tries to find out if Bianca has tipped Norman before reaching Norman's address in Belarus. Bianca assures him that she did no such thing and leaves the room. Later that morning, Bianca's superior, Osita, calls her and asks her to meet him. She goes to a public place to meet Osita. He tells Bianca that there is a mole in the agency who tipped Norman. He advises Bianca to keep her circle of shared information to a minimum. Later, while in the office, Damien gives Bianca the list of snipers he got from the army. Bianca asks him to research about their whereabouts at the time of Manfred's death. At the same time, Bianca's other colleague comes. She tells Bianca that she recovered a number in Norman's phone who called Norman many times before the day of Manfred's death. She tells Bianca that the name of the caller was a code name called Jackal. After that, Osita takes Bianca to a quiet room. Osita tells her that, according to his sources, someone has hired Jackal for another kill. He asks her if she knows anything about a certain Rodan. She tells him that Rodan could be Jackal's next target. Osita leaves by saying that they need a breakthrough soon. Later that day, Bianca asks Damien about the sniper list. Damien tells her he only found one person worth talking to in the list, a man named George Hans who runs a sniper WhatsApp group. Bianca takes George's address from Damien and leaves. In the next scene, we see Bianca meeting George in his house. George proves to be of no help. He even mocks Bianca for trying to find someone who could shoot 3,815 meters accurately. However, he tells her about a man named Alexander Duggan who could shoot this far, but he informs her that Duggan has died long ago. After that, Bianca, who seems frustrated by George, leaves her house. She calls Damien and asks to get information about a man named Alexander Duggan. The following day, Larry, using Allison's phone, texts Bianca, asking her to meet. Bianca agrees and reaches the location. To her surprise, she finds Larry there with a knife. Larry attacks her and tries to kill her. Her former colleague Vincent arrives at the scene, but Larry manages to escape. Bianca and her team go to Allison's hotel room. They find Allison lying dead on her bed. Larry has strangled Allison to her death. After this incident, Biance asks Isabella to let Vincent join her team because she trusts him fully. Isabel agrees to include him. Isabel asks Bianca to keep her informed about every minute's detail. Later that night, Bianca and Vincent go for a drink. When Bianca returns home, she finds Larry holding her daughter Jasmine captive. She manages to get Jasmine free by shooting Larry in the leg. She nearly kills him before Jasmine stops her. He continues to refuse to hand over Norman. The next morning, Bianca and Vincent visit Larry in the hospital. They threaten to kill him and his brother if he does not talk about Norman's location. Eventually, he gives up Norman's location. He tells Bianca that Norman is in Budapest. He says that Norman is staying in a white building that has a cafe and stable near it. Bianca finds out that there are quite a few places that match Larry's description. They decide to go to Budapest and check them all. Meanwhile, Jack can hide the rifle in this boot to pass through security. Norman finds this idea brilliant. Norman tells him that it will take 12 to 13 hours for the programming and then 3D printing of this weapon. Soon after, they both get to work. Later that evening, they discuss what went down in Belarus. Norman shares that he was shot by a black British woman while there. Norman says he doesn't know who tipped him off. He tells Jackal that he got a warning from an anonymous number. Jackal accuses Norman of lying to him. He warns Norman to remain discreet. The next morning, Jackal wears the boot made for him. He asks Norman to show him how to assemble it. Norman assembles its parts to make a rifle. Jackal heads off to a nearby woods to try out his rifle. Norman warns that the rifle can only handle 8 shots before it stops working. Meanwhile, Vincent calls Bianca and tells her that Norman's location has been found. They rush towards Norman. On the other hand, Norman, they interrogate him. Bianca spots Jackal's belongings. Norman doesn't talk. Jackal shoots Norman in the head before he can talk. Knowing that Jackal is near, they try to track him down, but Jackal escapes on horseback. As nighttime falls, Bianca and the team are still chasing Jackal, firing on him while he is in the water. It is not clear to her if she has killed him or not. Later, Jackal then re-emerges from the water. He seeks shelter in a barn. There, he gets caught by a farmer. The farmer knocks him out and ties him up.